friends ever since.
My friend and fellow electronic musician Tupper Werewolf is performing at this music festival in a week or so, and he's asked me to do some live visuals for him. So I'm on my way to the studio to meet him and do a dress rehearsal of the live setup and all that stuff. So I thought I'd do a wee video talking about the live video rig that I'm planning to use, partly because if I can explain it out loud to somebody else, then hopefully I'll be able to use it. But I'm going to get to the studio and then I'll show you what I've got. Some of the considerations I have to have are portability, so it has to be kind of small enough for me to carry it. I need redundancy so that if anything fucks up, I'll have a backup. And also I need to be able to get the kind of glitches and effects I want. So there's a bunch of things to consider, but it'll hopefully be fun. So once I've caught my breath and I actually get into the studio, I'll show you my plan. So here I will go through what I have in my big case. You can see that everything I have fits nicely into this kind of very bashed up, sturdy old flight case that I've used for many things. And that's really important because, as I mentioned, portability is a big factor when you have to carry this stuff yourself and you don't have a team of roadies or whatever. Inside here, if I can get the latches off one-handed, you'll see I have a whole bunch of different stuff. And I'll quickly run through what I'm going to use. There's obviously a whole bunch of cables and things in here, but I'll try and just do it as logically as possible. First up, in terms of sources for the video, I'm going to be playing these kind of pre-cut videos I've made. So I've got a bunch of videos with footage that match the kind of songs and the feeling of the songs and stuff as far as I'm concerned. And I've put them together in a loop. And I could use my laptop to play them, but I don't want to take my laptop to a festival for various reasons. First of all, if you use a laptop in any kind of musical situation like that, there's always lots of other things that can go wrong, like updates, restarting things, etc. So I've got this dedicated media player. Cost me 20 quid. I think they're designed for people who want to watch movies on their TV or something. But this has both an HDMI output somewhere and an AV output, which is composite. And that means essentially I can stick all my videos onto a wee USB key here and then play them through this thing, which is great. So this is going to be one of my video sources. The other video source that I'm going to have is one of these, and it's still in the packet because I've got a bunch of these. Now, these are just really cheap car reversal cameras. So people buy these so they can install like a DIY car reversal system and see that they're not going to crash into anything. But they have composite video output and they can be powered just by like a regular DC connector thing. So these are great. They cost £3.65 each, or cheaper if you buy a bunch of them. So I'm going to use this for my second input, or my third input really. And what we'll do essentially is just blend between the videos with their effects and this camera. And so if all goes tits up with the videos that I've got, or something breaks down, I can just cut to a live footage, which will be quite cool. Now, because they're so cheap, I have a couple of them as a backup. There is another one in here somewhere, but I don't know where it is just yet. Now, just playing the videos on their own would be pretty boring. So what I've got to effect them up is a couple of things, and the first one I'm going to use is this, which is just a Raspberry Pi, but it's running Andre J's, and I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's running his software, which is Wavepool. So I'm going to input the video from this into the Raspberry Pi, and then I'll tweak the effects and stuff on there, and the software has some really amazing effects, so it'll look pretty cool. The way you control the effects is with one of these, which is just a MIDI controller. So that's my first channel all sorted. I'll probably do a video on this separately at some point because there's quite a lot to go into, but that's my first main kind of constituent part of the effects. Now, one channel and a video camera would probably be enough, but I kind of want to make it a bit more interesting than that. So what I've got here in my box of goodies, if I can get it out, this is one of my own circuit bent video mixer things, and what I've done is basically ripped it open and added all these kind of patch points and potentiometers, a couple of switches that let me glitch up the footage in interesting ways, and it's quite small compared to some of the other circuit bent things. This is the first one I've done, and I'll do another video on this separately, but essentially what I'm going to do is break out the video signal from the media player, and I'm going to send one stream or one input into this, and then I'm going to send one input into this, and then they're both going to have separate channels, and I'll kind of blend between them, and that means that the video will be in time with itself or with each other, but I'll be able to have two channels of quite different effects. This one I was a wee bit wary of using because it is my own circuit bent device, and things like this can quickly go wrong and get quite unstable, but I'm going to rely on the Andrew J one, which is much more stable because it's digital effects, as my main source, and this is kind of just a backup one that I can kind of blend in and get some more extreme things, but if everything goes wrong, I'll just go back to this. Now, how am I going to blend all of this stuff together? Well, that is the £1,000,000 question, and in this box I have my Edirol V4 mixer, and this is kind of a standard video mixer. It's got four composite inputs, it's got two composite outputs, and then it's got this preview out. So I'll have, the first channel will be Andrew J's video wave pool thing. The second channel will be my glitch device, both running the video signals. The third channel will be for the wee camera thingy, and the fourth channel will just be a feedback loop. And that's that. Now, in terms of outputs, because obviously you're going to a festival, you've no idea whether they're going to have HDMI output or composite or what the case is going to be. So I'm going to be prepared for both. I would love if they did have composite because that would make things easier. However, if they don't have composite, which is, you know, unlikely, I guess, at a modern festival, then I've got this composite to HDMI box that I'm going to take with me. Ideally, I would like to have as little in the way of adapters and stuff as possible, because the more bits and pieces you have, then the more likely it is that something will go wrong. But when it comes to this kind of analog video stuff, then it's quite hard to avoid having lots of bits and pieces lying around. So I guess we'll just see. Ultimately, the thing is, as long as I have a couple of different sources, then if everything does go wrong, then I can just switch between them. I'm debating getting a fourth video source, which will be another video player thing that will connect in here just as another backup. But I think that might be unnecessary, and to be honest, my case is quite full as it is. Now, the final thing I have to consider here is that when I'm changing videos on the media player itself, there is an on-screen display that comes up that I can't really get rid of. And so obviously I don't want everybody in the crowd to see when I'm changing the video. So on the Edirol here, what you can do is you can have a separate preview output, and that allows you to preview any of the particular channels from that output without sending it to the main output. So that means that if I want to change the video, all I can do, or what I could do, is fade over onto just the camera input and use the preview output to see the on-screen display, essentially. But that means I need an extra screen, and what I've got here is the solution. This is a cheap, very, very cheap £7 monitor that is designed for, like, again, car reversals, I think. But it takes composite video input, and it also has like a DC port. So what I'll do is I'll just set this up here, probably, but you know, standing up nicely on stage. And that means that when I want to switch things, but I don't want people to see what's going on, I can just use the preview output. So yeah, that's my setup. I do have a bunch of other adapters in here, and you know, HDMI capture cards and various things like that, just in case certain things don't work, or you know, the worst happens and you know, my Raspberry Pi won't output composite or whatever might be the scenario that befalls me on the day. I'll be prepared. So now I'm going to set all this up, and then Tupper Werewolf is coming in and we're going to do a dress rehearsal, and I might take some footage and upload it. If you do happen to be in Scotland, then the festival is the Hidden Door Festival. It's at the Granton Gasworks, and we are playing on the Sunday evening at about 6:15, I think. You can get tickets online. I can't remember the exact date, so you'll have to go find it for yourself. But it would be nice to see you there.
anything.